Hey everybody, hopefully you had a good week and you're doing all right. Staying happy, getting some stuff done, and yeah, I'm just here to do a quick short video for you guys. Our next lesson, we're moving on from equations of lines. We're going to try doing something new. We're doing scatter plots and trend lines for our next few lessons. So this is our intro lesson. I'm going to do a video. It's going to be shorter than our normal ones. Should probably only be about 8 minutes or so. I'm just going to kind of go over the main ideas and what I want you guys to get done for me by Wednesday. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to post you 3 things for you in Google Classroom. One's going to be what I have up right here. It's a note called Using Scatter Plots to Analyze Data. What I want you to do is just go through the note and just kind of familiarize yourself with what scatter plots are and kind of why we do them, right? So it starts off by going over what an independent variable is, what a dependent variable is, and the relationship between the two. So it is what they sound like, right? The independent variable is independent. It does what it wants. It doesn't matter what anyone else is saying, right? The dependent variable, like it sounds, is dependent on the independent variable. So for an example, an independent variable would be time, and a dependent variable would be distance, right? How far you travel depends on how much time has passed, not the other way around, right? And like we said earlier in the unit, you might forget by now, the dependent variable always goes on the y or the vertical axis when we're making a graph, and the independent variable always goes on the x or the horizontal axis when we're making a graph. That's important to remember. All right. So this note kind of goes through what those things are, and it asks you to practice identifying them. So for example, the number of hours spent studying has an effect on the mark on an exam. What's the independent variable? What's the dependent variable? Well, I think your mark on the exam would be dependent on how much you've studied, right? So hours spent studying would be independent. It doesn't matter what your mark is on the exam. It doesn't determine your hours spent. Your hours spent determines your mark, right? So hours spent studying would be independent and go on the x-axis. Mark on the exam would be dependent and go on the y-axis. And that's kind of what it says right here in the blue writing, right? I just answered that question for you. So try number 2 by yourself, going through this table and this graph and answering these questions. You don't have to actually type out the answer. It's just you practicing, seeing if you understand it. I have the actual answer in this different font here, so try it out yourself first, see what you think, and then read what I put and see if they match, right? Don't have, like I said, don't have to actually answer anything on this. This is just a note. So just go through them, answer the questions in your head. Don't actually have to write anything down, all right? For this one here, it's independent and dependent variables. Trying to see if you can come up with one, given one, right? So I did one for you right here. Your dependent variable would be your IQ. Your independent variable could be anything, right? I put number of books you read because your IQ is dependent on the number of books you read, not the other way around. It could be your IQ is dependent on how much your parents make you work during school. It could be how many hours of study you put. It could be how many people you talk to, whatever, right? As long as it makes sense, come up with one for these 3 right here. Like I said, don't have to write them down. It's just a note for you to practice, all right? This goes over what a scatter plot is and how you would set it up. An outlier, it's important you realize what an outlier is, so read through that and get an idea of what an outlier is. And here's just an example scatter plot, kind of what they look like. Just a bunch of dots scattered along a graph, hence the word scatter plot, right? So go through this note, familiarize yourself with what a scatter plot is, an independent variable, and the relationship between them. Do that on that note. When you're done that, go to Knowledge Hook. There's a mission, 12 questions assigned to you. Go through them. It's just practice, kind of going over what this note went over, but giving you an opportunity to actually do some questions and see if you understand it. All right? Shouldn't take you very long, no more than 10-15 minutes for that. There's only 12 questions. So go through the note, do the Knowledge Hook missions. And then lastly, when both those are done, you're going to try to make your own scatter plot using this note right here. Gives you all the data points you need. It says a skateboarder starts from various points along a steep ramp and coasts to the bottom. This table lists the initial height and his speed at the bottom of the ramp. So you're going to have to identify the dependent and independent variables. Is height dependent or is speed dependent? Figure it out. What do you think? You're going to have to make a scatter plot using this online website. I'll go over that in 30 seconds. You're going to have to describe the relationship between the variables. So how is initial height and the speed of the skateboarder, how are they related? What's the relationship between those two? And then you have to identify any outliers, and try to come up with an idea what may have caused this outlier. So how you're going to do this, because you can't really make a scatter plot on a Microsoft Word document. So I found this website. So I'm going to show you how to use it real quick. This is a part of the video I need you to pay attention to, all right? Because it's important you get this all set up properly so it works for you. You're going to open this link. Open link. And it'll bring you to this website right here. When it opens up, don't touch anything. Just scroll down right to the bottom and hit next. This is where you have to enter some data, okay? So up top, it's asking you for the graph title. Graph title is going to be height versus speed. That's what your title is going to be, height versus speed. So I'll put that in. X-axis is you're going to put your independent variable. So is height or speed independent? Whatever you think, you're going to put on the x-axis. Whatever you think is the dependent variable, height or speed, you're going to put on the y-axis. So let's just say I'm going to go speed height. I don't know if that's right. I'm just putting them there. All right. You're going to go down to this part where it says data set. Items, you're going to put 8. Groups, you're going to put 1. Then you just got to start filling in the data. So for X, whatever you put as your independent variable, for me, I put, what did I put? I forget. I put speed as my independent variable. So I would look for speed, 4.4. Okay, I'd put that in. 4.4. What does it say the height is when the speed is 4.4? 2. Alright, I'll put 2. Do the next one. 5.2 and 2.7, right? 5.2, 2.7. So I'll go 5.2, 2.7. And just do that all the way down the chart for the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 data pairs. All right? Fill in all 8 data pairs into this little table here. Don't follow exactly how I did it, right? Speed might not be the x-axis. Height might not be the y-axis. I just did it random. It's for you to figure out which goes on which axis, right? Independent variable, x-axis, dependent variable, y-axis, whatever you think. Fill in the data points that match in this table right here. And when you have all your data points in, go down and hit next. Hit next again, and your scatter plot will be made for you. What I want you to do is take a picture of that scatter plot with your phone or a screenshot with your computer if you can do that. And I want you to submit that screenshot on Google Classroom as proof that you did it. All right? So you're going to, one more time, go through everything. Start with the note. Go through the note. Go to Knowledge Hook. Do the 12 questions helping you get introduced to scatter plots. And when you're done the note, you're done doing the Knowledge Hook mission, you're going to make your own scatter plot using this website and the instructions I just said. Real quick, let's go through how to make the scatter plot one more time. You click the link, open it up. Don't touch anything on the first page. You scroll right down to the bottom. You hit next. You name the graph height versus speed. You put whatever variable you think is independent in the x-axis. Whatever one you think is dependent, you put in the y-axis. Your items should say 8. Your groups should say 1. You scroll down. You start filling in the data, x, y, x, y, x, y, based on these numbers here, right? You should have 8 pieces of data, or 8 data points in when you're done. Fill them in. When you're done doing that, you hit next, and your scatter plot will be made. You take a picture of that, submit it in Google Classroom for me by the end of the day on Tuesday. All right? Any questions, please let me know. Please reach out. I'm here to help. I did some video conferences last week, and it seemed to help the kids who wanted it. So reach out. We can get that set up whenever you want. Email me, whatever you need. Questions, concerns, just want to catch up. Let me know. I'm here to talk and help any way that I can. Stay happy, stay healthy. I'm going to give you a new lesson advancing from this on Wednesday to try to get this done by end of the day on Tuesday. All right? Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.